On October 24th, the junior class traveled down to Massachusetts to walk the Freedom Trail. During this trip, we visited 15 sites, starting at the Boston Commons and ending at the Bunker Hill Monument. Here is our video of our adventure. We hope you enjoy.
The Boston Commons date back to 1634, which makes it the oldest park in the United States. This park is 50 acres, and one of the main streets bordering it is Beacon Street. During the 1630s, many families used it for a cow pasture. The commons were then used for public hangings until 1817. These hangings were done by large oak trees, which were later replaced by the gallows in 1769. Many Quakers were killed here. On May 19, 1713, 200 citizens of Boston rioted in the Commons due to a lack of food in the city. This was officially claimed a park no later than 1830. To this day, Boston Commons remain a stage for free speech and public assembly. This location is also known as the New State House. It's located in downtown Boston on Beacon Street, right next to the Boston Commons. This building houses the Massachusetts General Court, which is the legislature, and it also offices the governor of Massachusetts. This building was completed in 1798. This building is most notorious for its gold dome. It was not always gold, however. The gold was once wood, which leaked relentlessly until it was covered in copper sheets by the Paul Revere Copper Company. During World War II, the dome was painted black, so during the blackouts there was no reflection, which helped them prevent attacks. However, in 1977, the dome was plated with 23-karat gold at a cost of $300,000. This church was built in 1809 and it is still active today, with a steady attendance of about 2,000 people every Sunday with over 1,000 members. It is still going strong. The 217-foot steeple was once the first sight that travelers saw upon approaching Boston. Author Henry James called it the most interesting mass of bricks and mortar in America.
The Granary Cemetery was first made in 1660. Despite there being only 2,300 tombstones, there are over 5,000 people buried here. This is where some of America's most notable citizens rest, like Paul Revere and John Hancock. King's Chapel was made in 1688 when the royal governor Andros directed that the building was built on top of the burying ground when no one would sell land to build a non-Puritan church. The first structure was a small wooden building, but was renovated in 1754. King's Chapel Burying Ground is located next to King's Chapel on Tremont Street. King's Chapel Burying Ground was Boston proper's first burying ground. It boasts a multitude of illustrious residents, including John Winthrop, Massachusetts' first governor, and Mary Chilton, the first woman to step off the Mayflower. According to custom, the first interment in King's Chapel Burying Ground was that of the land's original owner, Isaac Johnson.
Old South Meeting House was built in 1729. It was a meeting place for Boston Tea Party and a stage for some of the most dramatic events leading up to the American Revolution. About 5,000 colonists were gathered in the house, and it was the biggest building in the colonial Boston. The Old State House has stood as an emblem of liberty in Boston for over 300 years. Built in 1713 to house the colony's government, the Old State House was at the center of civic events that sparked American Revolution. Boston Massacre took place on March 5, 1770, in which British Army soldiers killed 5 male civilians and injured 6 others. British sent redcoats to call drills in the wake of the Townshend duties and to protect costume officials. With 2,000 soldiers occupying a town with about 16,000, friction was inevitable.
In 1742, the wealthiest merchant built Faneuil Hall as a gift to the town. Faneuil Hall was a place to sell meat, fish, and produce. The Sugar Act was also discussed in 1764 and established the doctrine of no taxation without representation. In 1680, the Paul Revere House was built. This is the oldest structure and only home on the Freedom Trail. Paul Revere purchased the house in 1770 when he was only 35 years old. He and his family lived here because it was so close to the Old North Church, which is where Revere would spot the lanterns and have to go warn the townspeople that the British were coming. The Old North Church first opened its doors to worshippers on December 29, 1723. It is significant because whenever the British were approaching by Bunker Hill, Robert Newman and Captain Pulling would go to the top of the steeple and put out either one lantern if they were approaching by land and 2 lanterns if they were approaching by the Charles River. They held the lantern out there for a few minutes, just enough time for Paul Revere to see so he could warn the townspeople. Copp's Hill Burying Ground is located in the north end of Boston, Massachusetts. It was established in 1659 and is the city's second oldest cemetery. There are 1,200 marked graves. On June 17, 1775, early in the Revolutionary War, the British defeated the Americans at the Battle of Bunker Hill in Massachusetts. Despite their loss, the inexperienced colonial forces inflicted significant casualties against the enemy, and the battle provided them with an important confidence boost. This monument is here to show where the battle took place. Thank you, and we hope you enjoyed our adventure on the Freedom Trail.